So welcome to Wild SF Walking Tours. My name is Wes, Wild Wes they call me around these parts. So Wes is the name, Wild's the game. And the tour they're doing today is basically a free... I run a tour company which is called Wild SF Tours. It's a company I started 6 years ago almost with my best friend Jordan. And we do kind of people's history tours of San Francisco. So we started to kind of do, tours that are kind of like led by locals. We're all artists who are invested in San Francisco and trying to tell the stories of, the communities that they're in, kind of community organizing, people's history, social movements, radical politics, things that make San Francisco cool. Now, some of the people that became the most wealthy during the gold rush were actually women who were working on this street because of how much money they could charge. I actually found this letter from a French guy who was visiting during the gold rush, and he was writing back home to Paris, and he says, "I'm disgusted at what I have seen here. I have seen women selling their bodies for hundreds of dollars a night. Back in Paris, it would be much cheaper than this." I was convinced as a child that I was from outer space. I had told everyone until it was like beyond where it was socially acceptable to say so. I was telling people that I was from Saturn, and I told everyone that my mom and dad were just my Earth parents, and that they were just here to take care of me until my real parents came back to take me back to Saturn. And then everyone would play along with this. Everyone at school just kind of accepted. They're like, okay, cool. And I was like, yeah, no, seriously, these are just my Earth parents. I was in love with my high school girlfriend, Veronica, during high school and then part of college. And then I ended up breaking up with her because I thought I was gay and I needed to go explore the world of men for a while. And I did that. And my family was very supportive, too supportive. My mom sent out an email to the whole family and just outed me, and the whole thing was just, "Wes is big news," and goes, "We are so proud of our son and we couldn't be more happy that he's finally ready to tell us all that he likes boys." I was like, "What do you mean finally ready?" It was kind of it's kind of weird. I felt a little called out. And and so then I kind of explored that, and that was very much a part of my identity for a couple of years. I was very queer presenting, very effeminate, very into men, and just dated men and hooked up with men. And at some point kind of backed off a little bit and kind of found this middle ground where I realized that I was denying a part of who I was by pretending I was totally gay, when I'm obviously very attracted to women as well. So I kind of found this place where I don't really think about my sexuality that much anymore, but I'm just attracted to who I'm attracted to. If you enjoyed the tour, now would be the time to shower me with all of your money as well. There's two things that I'm going to ask for. One is obviously money. The other one is please go online and say nice things about me on TripAdvisor or Yelp if you use those. And thank you for being here. Yeah, I want to go into Community Thrift. It's the best thrift store in the area. They donate a lot of money back to charity. For all of our German fans out there, Neuschwanstein, Germany, Deutschland. Bombing for peace is like fucking for virginity. And there's this one here, probably from the same protest. I like dressing well, and I'm always surprised by how many people don't care about style, There's this guy that I met in Amsterdam. He's this older man who ran a vintage store there, and he says, "Your clothing is your armor against a cruel world," and so for him, clothing was very performative. And for me, it's performative too, but I like to think of it in a more positive sense. I like to not think of it as putting on armor, going into the cruel world. I think of my clothing as an outward expression of who I am or who I want to be, and so sometimes when I'm feeling sad, I'll put on something really upbeat and poppy, and then that kind of brings up your spirits. With a prior partner, I was always gunning for an open relationship, and I was like, we should just be seeing like many people. And then eventually she was ready to open the relationship, and by the time that came around, I was so committed to just the fact that I was, I guess, resigned to the fact that I was in a monogamous relationship, that I was really caught off guard and kind of like scared by the fact that she wanted to open the relationship, and that's because she had a crush on someone else. And I was really just like, how dare you have a crush on someone else? I thought that we were being monogamous. And so it was a learning experience, learning how to be in an open relationship, because society does not set you up for that. You know, everything that you see in the media and read about in books and in songs that even to this day I sing about. All my songs are these like very like, you're the one for me, I miss you so much. But you listen to my record and like I'll have like 5 of those songs and about like 5 separate people. And so for me, you know, I think it's easy to kind of have multiple like loves and, you know, to like really like deeply like care about someone. This is my house. A lot of people meet me on my tours and they just have a great time, but then like getting to like who I really am is kind of difficult. And that's an issue with like friends and with lovers as well. Like I have a hard time opening up. That's something that I'm working on. That's like basically why I go to therapy. You know, 2 of the closest people in my life had the same gripe with me and were like, hey, like you're failing me because you can't be there and you're not being open with me and you're not being honest and you're not being vulnerable, you know, is the main thing. My business partner and my lover were both saying like, you're gonna lose me if you don't learn how to become more vulnerable. So I just immediately started going to therapy and trying to work on all that and being more like honest. I have all my like suits down here, and then like the blues, the whites, pinks. This is my favorite color, yellow. Most of the things that I wear are actually yellow, as you can see. And then some red stuff. Then I have this yellow jumpsuit, which is like the coolest thing I own, probably. It's from the 60s. You ever seen one of these things? Oh. You know that there's this old song called Little Boxes. And you know, little boxes, little boxes. This is like actually what the song's referring to. It's like all these little houses up here on the hills around San Francisco. My grandpa took a train out to San Francisco when he moved here from New Orleans. And then when he was about to pass away, we were all down in New Orleans together with him. And then I got a train tattoo for him. So did my mom and my partner, Courtney. We all got the same one that Courtney drew. Jealousy is definitely a part of being in a poly relationship. There's always going to be those moments where you're jealous because you feel insecure, as if you're not that good of a lover, or you're not that sexy or charming, or the other person has something that you don't have. But, you know, a lot of being poly is also about building up yourself and realizing I don't need this person to be like my end-all be-all, and I don't need to rely on their opinion of me to define who I am. So it's a lot about building up your own self-image and realizing like I am valuable and I am talented and I am a great person and a great lover, and you know, they're lucky to have me in their life and I'm lucky to have them, and yeah, it's something that I believe in. That dawn knows cold bumps and kilowatts, bathroom stars. For they only ever gave me numb passages at all. I have a band which is called Wes Leslie and the Bedroom Players. A couple years ago I just kind of came up with this persona, and it's just called Wes Leslie, the Bedroom Player. And it's very inspired by like the kind of cheesy late 70s, 80s like funk scene that was just like, you know, all about just kind of like zoot suits and just being like really, you know, glamorous and flashy and just like well done up. So at my shows I always like wear a suit. The whole band is just like choreographed. I have a lot of like costume changes and a lot of theatrics, and it's just kind of inspired by that. And I'm calling the style bedroom soul. I put out an album that was pretty revealing. It was about my last big breakup, It's called When You're Gone, You're Still in My Songs. And for that, I did check with my partner and sent her all the songs and asked her how she felt about them, and asked her if I could use the photo she took of me to be the album cover. And eventually I got her approval for all of that, and so I got to put it out, and it was pretty therapeutic to put out something that was so personal. It was the first release I've done in a long time where I felt like there wasn't a character behind it. It was just me with an acoustic guitar just pouring out my soul.
Come back home with me, baby. You won't get on the...
I can already picture myself when I'm 100. I think I'm gonna look very much like my grandpa, because I look like him now. We're the same build, very tall and lean, a big nose and funny ears, and I think I'm just gonna look like him and embody a lot of him. He's always been a huge inspiration to me. Style-wise, I still wear a lot of his clothing, and just who he was as a good person. So I think I'm going to be very, very much like my grandpa.